Hi, this is Brian David Marshall coming to you from the Tournament Center at the World Championships in Rome. I'm here with Joel Calafell. You may remember him as the guy who played Seismic Swans at the Grand Prix.
Yeah, Grand Prix Barcelona.
Grand Prix Barcelona. He surprised the field with a pretty unusual deck. Would you run like 40-something lands in that deck?
41 lands.
41 lands?
Yeah.
Joel came into this tournament with a deck that he just ran the tables with, 6-0. I don't think it's a deck a lot of people were expecting. He worked with Kenny Oberg on it. And they're calling the deck Jey Raider. Let's take a look at it. Deck went 6-0 at Worlds. Tell us a little bit about the deck and what you were thinking when you built this.
Okay, this is basically the centerpiece of the deck. You just basically are playing for Holy Man, for Font of Mythos, and for Jeysus. I think what you really want in this format is just to beat aggro decks. So basically the best thing is just play a bunch of Fox. And what this deck does, and it does it very well, is just outplay every card other people play.
So coming into this tournament, everyone was expecting a lot of Jund.
Yes.
So lots of creatures, lots of Blightnings.
Yes.
But also, you said you were expecting a lot of green-white decks to counter the Jund movement.
Exactly. The process was everyone was going to play Jund, so everyone was probably trying to beat Jund as well with green-white decks or things like that.
Or mono-green,
or mono-green, even mono-white. So this deck just beats both aggro decks and the decks that try to beat aggro. That's the key to the deck.
So basically you found a window to drive a combo deck through because there's no real control deck.
Exactly. And the good thing about the deck is that it just doesn't really care about removal or a lot of cards that people is playing, so it just plays safe. It for instance doesn't really care about the best card in the format, which is probably Baneslayer. So I think it's really unexpected deck. No one really knows how to play against it because they don't even expect you to have a Fog every turn. And I think their deck really plays very well. It's more solid than it seems. At first, it probably doesn't seem like you can get control of the game, but with all those cards, you get to a point where you draw like 3 cards per turn. So it's very probable that you're drawing either a Fog, a Wrath, or just a Time Warp.
Right, there's one card I got to ask you about. It's gotten a lot of, I mean, even as we're doing this deck tech, people are sort of snickering on the sidelines, kind of laughing at this card. What's with the Sunspring Expedition?
Sunspring Expedition. It's just like a new Fog to the deck. 8 life is really a lot of life, so this works basically like a Fog, but it's even better than that because mostly the only way you can lose to Jund or that kind of decks is to a Burn range, so this keeps you out of that range, and that's really important.
So you know they're going to try to burn you out,
yes,
and you're going to say, sorry, I have an extra 8 life sitting in my back pocket.
Yes, you basically counter 3 lightning bolts with that, so that's enough.
That's great. Now, what decks did you run up against today in your quest to 6-0?
It was a green-white Van deck, Boros, Bushwalker, 2 Planeswalker decks, and another green-white against Martin, and
so
mostly like decks that try to beat Jund, so there is a matchups with this. And the key was for sure Flash Freeze, main deck. At first I was playing Negate, but then I realized that there was nothing you couldn't counter with Flash Freeze. I mean, nothing you could care about. This counters everything, like from Lightning to Pulse, Leeches, Phoenix, all the creatures. And it's really, I mean, it even counters the key cards in all the control decks, like a Ajani or Cruel Ultimatum. So it's
sure, and you even got to counter a double negative in someone's deck who was also running Flash Freeze.
Yeah, I played against a control deck, and he was also playing Flash Freeze main deck, but he was also playing double negative, so I got a window to use my Flash Freeze on their counters. And then we have the sideboard.
Well, actually, I have one more card I want to talk to you about. Kabira Crossroads is another card I don't think people were expecting coming into this tournament.
Yes, I think it's probably the best card in the deck, seriously. This card is so sick. At first, it gives only 2 life, but since you get a lot of extra turns with Time Warp, eventually you will draw like 2 or 3 of them. So it feels like you're starting with 26 life with this deck.
So you're saying is you play one, you Time Warp, and then you're drawing so many cards that you draw into another one, and you play another.
Yes.
And before your opponent gets their turn back, you've gained 4 life or 6 life if you've done that a couple times.
Yes, and you get out of range of lightning bolts as well.
So yeah, let's talk about the sideboard, but that's a card I was definitely not expecting.
Yes, then in the sideboard, we have the most important card is probably Baneslayer Angel, which I was sideboarding in against almost everyone. In any game I was sideboarding them in, because in game 2, they see probably almost the whole deck, so they see no creatures in there, so they just take out all the removal. So Bentley really shines after Cyber when they have no removal against Giant or Boros, or even against Control, because you have actually to Cyber out the Fox, and you Cyber in more threats. Then we have Tezzeret, which is amazing, even if there's only one card, I mean one copy. But you will eventually draw into it, and then you have the Needles, which are basically against other planeswalkers, but it also works against that Unearth deck I was expecting to prevent you from dying to Extractor Demon, and you also have the Relics against that matchup, because it's probably the only deck that can beat you, because it decks you. And, and then you have the Negates, just to substitute for Flash Freeze. And then you have Wall of Daniel. This card is really good against red decks with Hellspark or Ball Lightning that are not very good matchups, so this card just gives you so many life against that. And then finally we get the third copy of Sunspring Expedition against that kind of deck as well.
That's awesome. I mean, it's a terrific deck. It was really exciting to watch you play. It just felt like you had picked the perfect deck for this tournament. I was watching you play against Martin Juza in round 6, and Martin's, just got creatures, and he's got this amazing draw, and he just comes roaring out of the gate. He's like a Mirror Angel, like, token, and his Safe Passage and Wrath of God.
That's not the problem, because you don't care about creatures.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter that they get infinite creatures, or even Luminarch Ascension is not even a problem.
Right.
Because you'll fuck forever.
Yeah, in game 2 he had sideboarded in Luminarch Ascension and had it turned on 4 turns later, and he's making angels at the end of every turn, and it just didn't matter.
And actually the deck is milling the opponent much faster than it seems, with the Time Warps and Jaces and Arch of Trap, which is faster than it seems. You will eventually draw the 2 of them, so you just deck your opponent even before he gets the turn back.
I mean, it's hard to imagine that you would have anything you would change, but is there anything you would change about this deck after 6 rounds of play?
Not really. I mean, not even the Cyber, because the fact that they haven't faced the decks I expected doesn't mean that the cards should be there, because you will need them to beat the mad matchups.
Cool, so there you have it. It's Jay Serrater from Joel Calafell and Kenny Oberg. Head up to Magic Online, see if you can't mill some people out. We'll be bringing you more action from Worlds all weekend long. This is Brian David Marshall for Joel Calafell. Thanks a lot.